What is going on, SHA Army? We're back for another How Would That Superhero Train. Today I was going to be doing a Marvel because it's supposed to be the Marvel week, but being that before we did 2 Marvel characters in a row, I decided to do 2 DC characters in a row because the Flash was actually requested. So today we are talking about Barry Allen's Flash. I'm going to actually be talking about all incarnations of the Flash from time to time because I do want to talk specifics about powers and abilities and what we see in the Flash characters themselves. There are many of them, but for comparison's sake, we are going to be comparing the characters and the celebs to Barry Allen's Flash. For those of you who don't even know what this is when I talk about a specific superhero and how I think they would train if they were a human in real life with us, and how you would then go about training and how you would build a routine around that. I'm going to share some of the workout routines from the site in the links below. I always share some of the training that Coach Derek has programmed for us as well. That's some MMA stuff as well as some parkour stuff from Felix. So that'll be in the links. But basically what I'm basing this on is over 200 celeb workout routines researched and over 100 character routines researched and built. So I'm going to be talking about the methods I use to build those routines and also base it on the research that I've done. It's not going to be a specific workout routine as much as a build and how I would go about training if I was this character. So before I get too far ahead of myself, just quick announcements. Vagabonding review will be up this week. The book that I'm currently reading is Air of Fire, Sarah J. Maas. I don't have any specifics that I'm reading next. I do believe it's going to be The Girl Who Took an Eye for an Eye. I'm not sure yet because I have a trip coming up, so it might be a quicker read. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let's crack the monster, cue the music, and get into it. Alright, so first and foremost, before I even start talking about the Flash's powers and abilities and how those translate into a workout routine and how we're going to build it, I want to do some character comparisons. Barry Allen's Flash stats compared to some of the Flashes that we've seen on the screen. I will mention his powers and abilities throughout this, but then I will go back and I'll go back over them when we're talking about the specific routine as well. So, Barry Allen actually comes in at 6 foot tall, 195 pounds. As a comic book character, and on top of his superhuman speed that we know he has, all incarnations of the Flash can move, think, and react at light speeds, as well as having superhuman endurance that allow them to run incredible distances. So we're not only talking about superhuman speed when it comes to running, we're also talking about light speed movement in general, as well as thinking and the endurance portion of this. So this is something to keep in mind when we get into the actual routine. It's also good to keep in mind that Barry Allen is basically a genius. So like I've said about some of the other characters that we've seen like Black Panther and some other geniuses like Batman and even Deathstroke, that's something you're going to have to work on outside of this video. I'm not going to teach you how to be a genius. I will talk about the program and the fitness aspect behind it. So comparing Barry Allen to some of the characters that we've seen, starting with Grant Gustin, who is the CW's Flash. He comes in at 6'2", around 170 pounds. A second on the list is Ezra Miller from Justice League and our Flash in the DC Universe movies. He comes in at 5'11", 155 pounds. Shout out to Ezra Miller because I will be seeing him in Fantastic Beasts 2 in like 12 hours. And honestly, in my opinion, both of these celebrities do a pretty good portrayal of the Flash. And while I'm not specifically giving my opinion on the character itself and how it's written in the storyline, although I do love the CW's Flash, I'm specifically talking about their physique, how the actor themselves portrays the character. I really think they fit the character well, and they have the physique, and they have the charm, and they have the wit to play the character. And of course, I do want to break it down now. So we're working with superhuman speed. We do want to work on endurance as well, but the Flash, you're going to be a runner. You might want to work out, you might want to tone up, you might want to hit the weights in different aspects as well, maybe do some calisthenics and some gymnastic works to tone up and work on your muscles. But if we're specifically talking about the Flash, I think his main focus would be the running. I think it's going to not only be endurance training, which we've talked about in some of the other character workouts for endurance, like Black Panther, Captain America, Batman, some of these other guys that would have crazy endurance. Flash is going to be that same thing, so you might be scheduling in long distance runs in your training as well. This might be 2 to 3 miles on Monday, 2 to 3 miles on Wednesday, 4 to 5 miles on Friday, something like that, training on top of the gymnastics, the calisthenics, and the higher intensity stuff that I'm going to be talking about, because not only do you want to train for endurance, you also want to train for speed. So when you're working on speed, it's not just the go out and run. You also want to be training for explosiveness and power. So the way to do this is you're going to be adding in some high intensity interval training, some high intensity training in general. So when you go out for a run, maybe it's not just working on endurance, maybe it's taking into account your Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe your Saturday workout, or your Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, whatever you're doing. If you're doing a 3-day split on top of the endurance work, maybe when you're doing your calisthenics or toning up your muscles or doing the other workouts with weights, if you plan to add those in, you're also adding in this intense training. Go out and find a hill, run up the hill. Use that for your explosiveness and your speed training. Also do some sprints, whether that's 30-meter sprints at your 80%, 90%, and 100 sprinting power, or using the high intensity interval training on maybe a treadmill, doing 20 to 30 minutes of on and off training. So maybe sprint for 30 seconds and then rest for a minute. Sprint for 30 seconds, rest for a minute. Or then start sprinting for a minute and then rest for a minute. Or sprint for a minute and rest for a minute 30 if you need the extra rest. Go on and off, on and on, on and off. So you can do these sprints and this high intensity interval training at different ratios. Other things you get to add in for this power and this explosiveness are the general workouts that you would be training in your weightlifting and your calisthenics already. So you're going to be wanting to add back squats and box jumps and weighted box jumps or weighted step-ups and explosive movements where you're really using your hips and you're generating power. So maybe on the days that you're adding in some shoulder exercises and some workouts for that, you might add in some clean and press. Really work on your hip power and just explosive workouts in general. You could work on some snatches and some kettlebell swings, and these are not only full body workouts and compound lifts, but you're also working on things that are going to really come into play with your speed and your explosiveness like the Flash would have. And in my opinion, all these superheroes are also going to be training in mixed martial arts, regardless of how fast you are, regardless of how smart you are. It's always great to have the mixed martial arts background if you want to be like these superheroes. So I'll also be linking to Coach Derek's programs, like I said, in the links below. I think you can incorporate some of the mixed martial arts training, whether it's 2 days, 3 days a week, on top of fitting it in with the endurance, the calisthenics, and the explosive movements in order to become like the Flash. I think the biggest part of this, because we're specifically talking about the Flash, is going to be the endurance work, the explosive training, and the speed training. So work on your sprints, work on your hills, work on your explosive power, and of course work on your endurance. Get out there and start running, regardless of if you have to start and stop. When you're first going for long distance runs, try to run 2 minutes, then try to run 5 minutes, then try to run 10 minutes, then eventually work on getting that whole mile in, that whole 5K in, and build up, and up. Work on your endurance training, and the speed will come while you're working on your explosiveness and the other things that I've talked about in order to increase your speed and your power. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope it was fun to watch. I hope I'm able to clip in some fun Flash scenes. I know we have a lot of cool stuff to put in. Give me some suggestions on who you guys want to see next, and smash the thumbs up button, and I'll talk to you later.
Hey guys, I love pepperoni, and if you subscribe to the channel, like the videos, and check out the links below, I'll get to eat more pepperoni, like, cause I'm a puppy, and I love pepperoni. Please, get me more pepperoni. I just need it. Oh yes, pepperoni's so good. Please subscribe and like.